Well, good day everyone, it's Graham and Jess from Great Off-Road Adventures, and in this episode we're going to wrap up Rocks to Reefs Season 3, which was our trip through the Kimberley. So without any further ado, let's roll, I think, what is my most favourite intro one last time, and then we'll get stuck straight into it. So Jess, what do you feel about the wrap up?
Lots of mixed feelings, obviously. Sad trip's over, combined with just a pure sense of awkwardness because talking to a camera in this setting is so awkward.
I don't know, Jess hates being in front of the camera. We're working on it slowly. But yeah, so wrap up video today. We're going to talk about how much the trip cost us in terms of money, how many kilometres we did, fuel we used, our highlights, our lowlights, what we do differently. Then we'll run through a couple of the questions from the videos. Happy with that?
Yep.
What was your highlight?
Oh, like you had to ask. I think everyone can tell what both of our highlight was. Horizontal falls, without a doubt.
Yeah, we finished the series with a bang. We planned the whole trip around the horizontal falls. We looked at when we could take leave. We looked at when the largest tidal difference was. So we looked for the king tides. The best time was going to be to do it at the end of our trip. And so we actually structured our whole trip around finishing in Derby to go and do the horizontal falls. If it had worked better to have started there, we would have started there too. So yeah.
But how awkward would it have been if we did the highlight at the start of the trip?
Yeah, it would
I
have
think
been.
timing in at the end just was a fluke that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But no, it was beautiful. I mean, you can't really describe the horizontal falls. A really fun, social.
Correct. You've got a bit of adrenaline, a bit of fun, mixed in with, just the magic of the place. It's the only place in the world like it. But, everyone there is having just as much fun as you, and it just builds a really good atmosphere. There's a really good social aspect in the evenings, over dinner. The food was great. The accommodation on the houseboat was great. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Massive highlight, and
and everyone who works in the company.
Correct, yeah.
Fantastic.
Just the staff and everything. It's the whole package that makes it what it is. And yeah, like we said, it was the perfect way to finish the trip. So yeah, that was our highlights. What about our lowlights? What was our low lights?
You probably know what mine is. It was in the middle of our bad luck run. We were in Broome. It was
right towards the start of the trip.
2 a.m. in the morning. Put washing on earlier, and it was one of those washer-dryer combos. When it had finished, it was still a little bit moist. You know, when it's like that hot, wet feeling. So I decided to put it on another round of tumble dry. And that was about 11 o'clock. So I put it on for 3 hours, tumble dry, going, yep, then it'll just be dry in the morning. Then water started coming in as it was tumble dry.
The washer dryer had a fault, and it filled the...
Kill the story.
You're dragging it out.
It's emotional.
You're dragging it out.
But basically I ended up at 2 a.m. with dirty, boiling water that I had to put my hands in to pull my clothes out to wash in the outdoor shower and line dry while crying and telling Graham to bugger off because he can't be near me when I'm that angry.
It wasn't my fault, but she was in a mood.
And waking up at 7 a.m. in tears to the reception saying, please help me, we're leaving today, and my clothes smell like horrible stuff.
So yes, that was Jess's low
It was really
point.
low. It was really low.
My low point, it's equal. I'll share both of them. Was I think the day preceding or the couple of days preceding that when I had to fix the seal or find the leak on my fuel filters.
That place is cursed. Every time we went there, that shit happened.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Mechanic left the seal out of the secondary fuel filter, and it just gave us issues the whole way through the Pilbara till we got up to Broome, until I was able to, get spare parts again. I had the spare filters and top hats and everything with me, but I was just a bit apprehensive about using my spares so soon in the piece.
We didn't know we were going to fix
and considering
until
literally
we pulled it apart.
Both filters had been changed a week earlier, I was like, can't be the filters. But it can be when there's no ring missing. Anyway, so that was a pain in my backside for me for the first 4 or 5 days of the trip.
You weren't happy about that one?
No, not particularly. The puncture on the way up was up there as well as an annoyance and having to come back to Perth. But I think, probably the biggest low was missing out on getting to go up to Mitchell Falls.
That would have been mine if I didn't have the washing drama, definitely.
Yeah. Again, obviously that was, I guess, somewhat self-induced, missing out going up to Mitchell Falls.
Well, it was a known risk.
Yeah, correct. We were going early in the season, and the risk with going early in the season is roads might not be open. Campsites might not be open.
And unfortunately, we were just restricted. We had to be back in...
we had to be in Exmouth for the first week of June, so that only gave us April and May, the last 2 weeks of April and May.
Yeah, and even when we did hit Exmouth, they still had an open Mitchell Falls, so there was no way if we had restructured our trip differently that we would have got there.
Correct.
When we had to be in Exmouth, unfortunately. So definitely going back to the Kimberley, that's for certain.
Correct. Anyway, that's our low lights. From a accommodation, food point of view, do you have a rough number on what we spent? So whilst Jess pulls up the spreadsheet and looks into it, I'll cover off how many kilometres we did and how much fuel we ran through and all that. So by the time we got back to Perth, which included obviously from Derby, when we finished off the series, we signed off. We actually shot across to Exmouth. We did the Variety 4-Drive Adventure, filming that event for Variety, down to Geraldton, and then from there back to Perth, and that was over another week. So all of that from doorstep to doorstep, we ended up doing 12,340 odd kilometres. Take out the trip over to Exmouth, and our trip back probably would have reduced our trip back by about 400 kilometres. So not a massive number there, but 12,340 odd kilometres we did door to door. It included our false start, leaving here, going up, blowing the tyre, coming back, leaving again. That's all included. And we had a trip average at the end. We filled up so many times, you imagine, over 6 weeks and 12,000 something kilometres. I couldn't log every single fuel up, but at the end of the trip, the drive up, all the off-roading, the low range, the high range, the high-speed gravel, the bitumen, we came back here and we had an end of trip average of 16.1 litres per 100 kilometres. And obviously, being just the car, we were able to sit on 110. We were heavy, tent on the roof, not particularly aerodynamic. For that to be highway and gravel and off-roading and everything, it's getting up there, but it's quite respectable too. So, yeah. You ready?
Think so. So, as you saw on the trip, there was a little bit of shuffling. We stayed longer in some places got dropped off. We did a flight out of nowhere. So these numbers were based on our budget, and I've just been doing the quick sums in my head, so no one judge my maths. But I think accommodation, we probably spent about $1,300 roughly.
And that was just accommodation, or accommodation and camping fees?
All forms of how we
all
slept
forms of accommodation.
at
So
night.
if we stayed in a cabin, or if we, camping fees, all of that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so, a lot of it was all fairly cheap, but that also included our accommodation in Exmouth, which was roughly $400.
Yeah.
So, you take that out, because we stayed at Exmouth a couple of days at the end.
So it could have been about $1,000.
Yeah, probably more like $900.
Bear in mind, I think we camped every night except for the one night in Broome.
Once we got to the Kimberley, yes.
Well, the whole way through the Pilbara we camped. We had one night in Broome.
Yeah, yep.
And then we camped the rest. So we predominantly camped, yes, some nights we were in a caravan park, but we were still camping. So we kept in the rooftop tent. So we kept the cost down quite a bit that way.
And then on top of that was all our activities. So the horizontal course was obviously the big ticket item.
Yep, scenic flights, the Ord River boat tour, all that sort of stuff.
Yep, and that came to roughly $3,000.
Cool.
$2,000
Combined.
for the horizontal falls, and then $1,000 roughly for the scenic flight for the both of us and the Ord River cruise,
Yep.
and bits and bobs.
So there you go.
It's not cheap.
It wasn't a cheap trip, but at the same time, it was, I want to say, once in a lifetime.
It was our honeymoon. I hope
experience.
it's once in a lifetime.
Exactly. It was our honeymoon at the end of the day. It was a once in a lifetime experience. Realistically, moving forwards, are you going to be able to do another trip like that ever again? Probably not. Not until we're retired, maybe.
Yeah.
All the kids have left the nest. But yeah. So we made the most of it. We did everything we wanted to do. We didn't miss out on any activities and highlights because of budget. We just paid for it and said, stuff it, we'll work it out when we get back.
Yeah, well, when we sunk $30,000 in getting our engine for a car so we could go on the trip, I sort of had the mentality of who cares, which was a very bad mentality when we got home. But it was fun while we were out.
It went on the credit card and we paid the credit card off when we got home. So
such is life.
So exactly, such is life. We weren't going to miss out being so far up that so far north, and being there, we weren't going to miss out on doing something we wanted to do because we were worried about a few dollars and cents. So yeah. Righto, so getting on to a couple questions from the episodes. We'll just try and pick one or two from each and we'll just work through them as well as we can. From episode 1, and I get this question in a heap of my episodes, the gas bottle holder on the spare wheel, that's DIY. I made it myself. There's an idea I had myself. You can't buy it from anywhere. I haven't seen anyone else make them. But yeah, it's part of a roof rack mounted gas bottle holder along with a bracket that I made to mount it to the spare tyre. Yeah, that's a very common question people ask. What did you think of Skull Springs Road?
Actually, that's another low point. I have never known Graham to drive so slow ever on what looks like a flat road.
Yep.
But it was horrible, and every 5 minutes the stopping and starting because there was a washout or a dodgy piece of track. Oh, that killed us. That took way longer than I thought it was going to take us.
Correct. So that by far was the most brought up comment in the comment section was Skull Springs Road.
It is far more pleasant to go the long way than go through that road for a shortcut. It is not a shortcut.
That being said, did talk to someone that had been on it and it had actually been graded recently for them and they said it was all good. So you don't never know what you're going to find. Could be bad, could be good. A few people were asking how the deflate tire deflators went. They went great. I love them. We're still using them and I'll have a review video coming out on them this year. Sooner rather than later. We're going to plan on that front. What was your favourite part of Equestro?
That is hard. Equestro was definitely a hidden gem when I actually didn't want to go because I thought it was going to be too touristy and commercial. And don't get me wrong, there are touristy and commercial parts to it, with the resort restaurants and stuff like that. But I'm also not going to complain about a resort restaurant that serves amazing food if I'm hungry. This is really hard.
Was it the gorges? Was it the private camp? I'm going with the private camp on the edge of the river. That was my favourite bit. We had the gorgeous backdrop behind it.
I think I'm going to go with the gorges on this one.
Okay, favourite gorge?
What was the name of the one that we're going to walk halfway and then we got FOMO and walked all the way? Equestro Gorge. That one, I walked 7 kilometres. I don't walk 7 kilometres. That's how much I liked that gorge. Yeah. Emma Gorge was a close second, but I think I had food poisoning at Emma Gorge because I did not enjoy that walk.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I agree. My favourite gorge would have been Equestro Gorge as well. Big walk, but it's adventurous, it's fun. There's, you got to swim through the halfway pool, you got to climb up the side of the other waterfall. So it was sort of a bit of adrenaline.
Or the endorphins get pumping.
Correct, and it's just good fun to work your way through these challenges and obstacles to get out to the end.
And it was quite shaded too, which on a hot day was pleasant.
Another one, Galvin's Gorge. Literally, it's like 600 metres off the side of the main Gibb River Road itself. It's a very easy walk to get in there, and I would say it's severely underrated. It would be up there with one of the best swimming holes and favourite gorges on the whole of the Gibb for us.
And especially because by that point you can be gorged out, and so there are people who miss it. And it seems crazy. It's such a short walk. You're basically on the side of Gibb River Road and you just have to walk in a little bit.
And it's a little oasis.
But don't go to Adcock because that one's overrated.
You reckon Adcock was no good?
I don't reckon Adcock was any good.
Well, each their own. I quite liked Adcock. Track in was a little bit of fun, a little bit of mud, a little river crossing. And, again, from the car park, walking into the gorge is not that far a walk.
No, but getting in to the car park was a lot longer than it needed to be.
It's four-wheel drive track. That's why we have four-wheel drives, isn't it?
Yeah, but...
Anything you want to add?
No.
If you got any questions about the Kimberley guys, fire away in the comments below. We will do our absolute best to answer all of them. At the end of the day, by answering those questions, it helps you get out there and, go and explore and see the magical Kimberley. So, yeah, we're all for it. That's what the channel's about. It's us sharing our trips to help you get out there and go on your own.
And I don't think anyone should see the Kimberley these days as a scary trip or something that you have to build your car up for or anything. Like, obviously, you be smart about it. You make sure you have a good, reliable car.
Yep.
You consider what is your risk mitigation. What are you going to pack as a safety net? what are you going to...
I would be quite happy to go and do everything we did on our trip with a basic lift kit, basic all-terrain tyres, a snorkel and a bull bar.
Not even a long-range tank?
No, I don't think...
That's only if you want to save money on fuel.
Correct. Like, there was fuel at Mount Barnett, there's fuel at Imogee, there's fuel at Drysdale. Like, the longest stretch we would have done, you know, where we utilised the long-range tank was only because we were bypassing filling up at Drysdale, bypassing filling up at these other places. If we needed to, we could have filled up there.
And like the roads are in very good condition. Obviously, all of the guys up in the Kimberley work really hard to keep those roads in good nick.
They do end up corrugated, but
just a little bit of air out of your tyres.
Let some air out, drive to the conditions, and if you know, that's why I would recommend a lift kit, not to get your car higher up, but just to get a better quality shock absorber in there that can handle the corrugations.
Exactly, and like even a lot of the side roads these days, they are improving the road quality so it can be accessed.
I'd be happy to go and do the length of the Gibb River Road with just one spare tyre, especially if you got tyre pressure monitors, because when you get those flats like I had, you can monitor it on your tyre pressure monitor and you can go, oh, okay, I've got a flat. You catch it before it does any damage. If you don't have tyre pressure monitors, we could have got ourselves in a little bit of strife with the first flat because we wouldn't have known about it until maybe it was too late. But
you want to be more cautious and do your checks in the morning if you don't have it.
Certainly wouldn't say that's a deal breaker and all of that. Realistically, you could do it with just a moderately set up touring vehicle.
So I hope that gives some comfort, because I know there are quite a few people who consider the Kimberley, especially the Gibb River Road, quite a rough and treacherous track that damages cars and all of that. And I don't think the road conditions and environmental conditions are the cause of that these days. I think it's possibly more
user error. That being said, we only got to Drysdale Station. We didn't go north of Drysdale. The Columbaroo Road and out to Mitchell Falls has a reputation. And so, you know, perhaps there's a need to be somewhat more prepared if you're going that way. And yes, the Gibb River Road itself is a gravel road with some river crossings. The side tracks that go into places like Mount Hart and into Adcock Gorge and the tracks around Elquestro, that's where you get a little bit more adventurous with your four-wheel driving, but the actual Gibb River Road itself is a gravel road with river crossings.
Yeah, all you got to worry about is the corrugations, really.
Yep. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us a comment in the comments if you got any questions. And if you are planning a Gibb River Road or planning a Kimberley trip, share this video with your mates, your travelling companions, share the series, and fire away with any questions. We're more than happy to help out.
Yep.
Cool. Sign us off, Jess.
Happy, safe adventuring, I think it is.
Yes. Happy, safe adventuring, guys. Stay safe on the tracks and trails.
That's right.
If we don't see you out there, we'll see you in the next video. See ya.
I sure know when you sign off, sorry.
Oh, yeah, righto.